welcome to Talking Plant Protein. My guests today are going to talk with us a little bit about the story behind our food. We have Benjamin Voirie, Head of Marketing, Pea and New Proteins for Roquette, who has been a pioneer in the plant-based market from the beginning, and Annette LaCitra with Passionate Palate, a holistic wellness coach and vegan chef. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start with you, Benjamin. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you do for Roquette.
So I'm working at Roquette as a head of marketing for plant protein. So plant protein is part of the offer of Roquette. And as a head of marketing, I'm really trying to develop with all the Roquette team the ingredients that will be suitable for this plant-based food, in fact, answering the need from the consumers that are looking for this new type of food. So understanding what are the expectations and how, as Roquette, as ingredient suppliers, we can fulfill these needs to make it very basic and explain what I do.
Okay. And for you, Annette?
I'm a certified holistic health coach and also a vegan chef or plant-based chef. So I focus on transforming people's lives from the inside out through delicious, life-giving foods and also some other holistic wellness approaches. And I was actually in the corporate finance industry for quite some time, working within large food companies. So that's my background and how I shifted to doing what I'm doing now. So I'm working more in the health field.
So let's start there because you both have a unique perspective, a bird's eye view on ingredients, and they just are not all created equal. How has that changed in the last couple of years, the integrity of ingredients?
Yeah, in fact, so we are talking about food, and part of the food is made with ingredients. And as said by Annette, there's plenty of different type of ingredients that can make food, and it really depends what you expect, what you want to target. And back to the expectation of the consumers, sometimes you are very interested in the nutritional profile of your products. You buy it because you are focusing on some key ingredients like proteins or low level of carbs or low level of fat, and this can be linked to the way you formulate your products or your ingredients. But you may focus on other type of expectation, like claims having no specific ingredients, like no gluten, for example, or no soy sometimes is expected. So you have to formulate like that. But back to your point also in terms of food integrity or ingredient integrity is really also not to be not in line with what the customer may expect from a product. It's meaning that if you buy something that seems very interesting, you like, for example, a plant-based food replacement, you expect that it's not nutritionally bad. That means if it's high fat or it's higher fat compared to the equivalent that is animal-based, it's not so good. So it's really to be true in what you promote, in what you sell, and protein will play a role in that achieving a right quality of your finished product.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's interesting too that there are so many reformulations that are going on behind the scenes. So working in the corporate finance field is just seeing, the products change almost, on an annual basis, a couple of years, and that the ingredients, typically it's about the bottom line. And so it's how do we actually shift the ingredients to make more money for the company. But I think we're also seeing a lot of just the consumers starting to ask for a lot more cleaner ingredients, which I think is amazing. And so we are seeing a little bit of a shift there.
And that's why integrity for where our foods are coming from, how they're manufactured, how they're processed, really how they're getting to market is more and more prevalent with the demand from the consumer. So Benjamin, what do you make of the rise of the flexitarian, people really making different choices about what they're putting into their bodies?
Yeah, no, definitely, and there's really this. They want to understand what they are buying in this case. I mean, it's not just to say it's plant-based food, it's plant-based protein. It's not only that. They want to understand what can be the source of the protein. They want to get an understanding on where this protein is coming from. What are the attributes of this protein? So we see that as back to the previous point in terms of cleaner labeling, better products. This is evolving for sure. Let's not forget also that when it's formulated by any food companies, the product has to taste good to get the right texture, and this is keep improving because every time it is reformulated is also sometimes to achieve this improvement thanks to the new ingredients or thanks to the new technologies. But it's really then never forget that when you buy the food, you buy a story behind, and it's more and more important for the consumers. And if I want to add few other things that matters for the consumers will be related to the healthier image of the product, and what is growing a lot is really related to the sustainability, the impact of buying food that has on the planet, and this is more and more important also in addition to the clean label.
How has innovation at Roquette been driven by consumer demand?
I will start with an example, not to explain everything, but in parallel of this plant-based food business growing a lot, in the past you were having access to two main sources of protein. Soy on one side, very famous, very cost efficient, a good protein in terms of nutritional quality, having a good amino acid score. I mean, it's a bit technical, but it's a good protein. And on the other side, you have the wheat protein, gluten, that is largely available. Less good in terms of nutritional standpoint, but cost effective. And it was really missing another source of protein. And this new source of protein that has now becoming mainstream is a pea protein, meaning that Roquette has invested as an ingredient manufacturer in this new crop. It's a pulse. So it's a kind of the product, the pea, the yellow pea has 25% protein inside, and has been processing it to extract this protein, and that it can be used by the food industry. And this new protein was really matching the new expectation from the consumers. So to this extent, we were innovative by providing to the market this new protein. And then after building on that, the aim was not just to provide this protein to the market, was really also to provide something suitable in terms of functionalities to be incorporated in different food matrix that were looking for this plant-based protein. Basically, that's part of the innovation that we were providing as Roquette.
And as awareness around the environmental impact of the things that we eat, has there been a shift for your manufacturing or processes?
I would say it's really in the whole value chain that it has a value. The value is for the farmer. Let's start from that. The farmer has an interest to cultivate crops such as pea, in addition to what they have in terms of cereals, let's take wheat, maize, and so on. They have this into their crop, so once every 5 or 6 years, for example, they introduce pea, they plant pea, and the pea has the ability to fix nitrogen from the air, and meaning that you don't have to add this fertilizer. So this is a great thing for the farmer, but also in terms of environment. And this is then valued also by us by taking these raw materials. It's just one part of the story, but it's really valuable for everyone to get new crops, a new source of protein that can be cultivated in North America, in Europe. It's also cultivated in Russia, in other parts of the world, but it brings a lot of value for the farmers, and meaning that it has a value then for the final consumers that may value this as something that is a local protein source for these main markets of North America and Europe, and having this sustainability attributes that can be valorized by food companies, but they all have a different approach, but it can be valorized by some food companies.
And Annette, how about you with the clients that you deal with? Has there been more of a priority for them for eating local, eating organic?
Yeah, I am definitely seeing a lot more of that where people want to join kind of the slower food movement or trying to support more local, just to try to get a little bit more variety. Because eating even from like farmers markets, you're going to get a lot of different types of foods there that you may not actually see in the mainstream supermarkets, but there's definitely a push because people are really focusing too on their immunity and wanting to just feel better. I'm seeing a lot of people just not feeling well, and a lot of people within the chronic illness or autoimmune categories, and they're feeling that, and they're starting to become more educated in what's going on their plate, and they're focusing a lot more on plant-based because they know it's working. They see it's working. They see that it's actually helping in the healing process and just making them feel so much better, giving them so much more energy, better sleep. But yes, it's definitely, there's a drive for that. And I'm really finding a lot more people are seeking out gluten-free and also plant-based eating, whether it's, plant-based protein, but it's just, there's a lot more people that are becoming more aware of how their bodies are feeling and how they should be feeling. So yes, they're definitely sourcing more plant-based and especially more local.
And the options now have become so much more sophisticated, plant-based in food and beverage, health, beauty, wellness, nutritional supplements. The applications are endless. So where do these big ideas come from? Might be too broad of a question even, but where do these big ideas come from that companies like Roquette then really start to dig in with their R&D?
The global picture is that Roquette has always been in the plant-based business and the plant-based activities. So it's for us. It's not to say it's against animal activities. It's not the point, but it's really that we have been in the plant-based activities. So being also close to our customer and trying to understand the consumers, you may try things. It may fly, it may not fly. But here it was to be with this pea protein, maybe here at the right time. And after, no, we may have a more proactive approach because back to the point of Annette, meaning there's this people going to plant-based for plenty of different reasons, either because they are a matter of education, a matter of personal feeling on when they change their diet. So we follow that, and we want to bring also additional solution to that, meaning that, as I said, we have soy, gluten, and pea, and maybe new protein source will be needed or new format also of the way you consume. The example you were giving us, Jesse, on the fact that there's a nutraceutical, different plant-based meat, plant-based dairy, is also the fact that there's people want to consume this in a different way. So there are a lot of expectation that brings us to be innovative to answer these needs.
There's a lot of allergies and food sensitivities to soy and to wheat. So I think having alternative proteins is essential because, so many people are feeling the effects of eating soy or eating corn or eating wheat. And it's really, people are starting to look for different things in place of that. And it is essential to have some sort of alternative or substitution, which is driving, I think, part of the demand as well.
No, just to confirm, and this is one of the of attribute of pea that was brought to the market. It was related to this different status in terms of to name them allergen status. Even if, let's be cautious, we need to. When you consume, you need to be aware what you are consuming. So we recommend always to say it's pea protein. It's very important, but also related to the GMO status, whatever you think about it, things like that were of importance for the different consumers.
Let's talk about projections. Where do you see the plant-based market going next?
Yeah, and in addition to that, it means that in terms of market categories, at the beginning there was this specialized nutrition, so let's say nutraceutical products for weight management or of sport nutrition that move very quickly to this new protein, plant-based protein. Now we know that the dairy alternative has been growing a lot and is quite mature that a significant percentage of the sales for plant-based, let's say we often say 10%, is taken by plant-based alternative compared to the dairy counterpart. And we know that this momentum is also moving to meat, where it's less. That means maybe we are closer to 2-3% of the meat that is plant-based, but that it's where also there's a big growth to come. And also it means in terms of developments, it will not be limited. For example, if we take plant-based meat to burger, sausage, and so on, it will move also to more sophisticated alternative, what we used to call the wall cut, obtained by also new technologies. So there's a big move to give access to more format, more type of food. And we even believe at Rocket that in terms of projection for the future, in the let's say mid-long term, even the comparison with the animal counterpart will not be done. That means because the new generation will be educated differently, will have the taste of plant protein, and sometimes will not make the comparison with the animal counterpart. It will be kind of new gastronomy, new cuisine, new type of products, and even we will come back to that, new texture or really new taste. And it's a journey for the plant-based food, and it will go in several directions.
And I also think too, with the rise of even just seeing like wellness centers and just more holistic methods, happening, people exercising, doing whatever it is that they're doing, and watching, more documentaries, wellness documentaries, even rolling out, people are becoming a lot more aware. And, as things are shifting that direction and people are feeling it and seeing it, I just see things continuing to grow and that market really continuing to expand.
And I think that education and awareness really is what's driving that demand for integrity as well. What are some of the top reasons behind this explosion?
I definitely see that we need to do better on this planet. We really do, to take care of this beautiful place that we live. And we're seeing just lots of different things happening with the amount of animal protein that is, being raised, and how quickly it's being raised, and what it's, how they're eating is what we're eating if you're eating animal protein, and what they're being fed is not, necessarily the cleanest options. And also when they get sick, they're administered a lot of antibiotics, which is something that when we're eating animal protein, we're consuming. So we're consuming a lot of that. So, there's a huge health reason, but then it's also, how is it affecting, the planet, in the sense of, how much room do we need to raise all of these animals? What type of gases and emissions are they, emitting? Because it's just, and it's pretty gross actually, but there's so many reasons. We need to take care of of course, our health, but also be very cognizant of how we're treating our planet. This is the only planet we have to live on, and how is it degrading? And that just goes in so many different ways. It could be with the land, with the water, with the air. There's so many different drivers to that.
Yeah, exactly. I confirm it's really it's not just a personal behavior. Part of it's for healthier reason. You take it for you because you see healthy value to that. But the sustainability, something better for the environment or the planet, is very important. And there's also, when you do some survey, that there's a link between what is healthy and sustainability. It has to be both at the same time. You may have sometimes some of the reason like animal welfare, but in this case it will be more related to people that are vegan in this case, when we know that also big part of the growth for this plant-based food is linked to more flexitarian diet. That means is when you eat less of the animal-based protein. So there's not just one reason, but the healthiest status of the products, the fact that it's better for the environment, are the reason to buy this type of product. After the reason not to buy, but these are the two main reasons to go for a more plant-based diet.
Annette, what excites you the most about the plant-based market growing so rapidly?
Everything. There's so much available, and there's so many beautiful foods to play with. And when I say play with, I just mean create in the kitchen, and just, it's an art. Culinary is an art, and there's so much available. And, when it comes to baking and being gluten-free myself, I find it to be extremely helpful for me to see so many different options out there and alternatives and ways to bring that to my clients and just bring it to the world is just being able to play with so many different foods and create so many different foods. But seeing all these products come to market really helps with shifting the type of the type of plates and recipes that I'm able to create.
Well, and to your point, consumers want it all, right? We want it to look good, taste good. We want that exceptional culinary experience. And so if there's anything the plant-based market is lacking, it might be that as a whole, but we are headed that way. And that's what's so exciting. Benjamin, can you let us in on any secrets coming up for Roquette or anything that excites you that we should be looking out for?
I mean, for me, what is very exciting is first, it's because it's related to food, and as I do like food, it's already
That's why we're all here.
something very interesting. Yeah, and after it's really because I think we all work hands in hands to make things better, because there's some challenge. It's exciting also because we know that we target things done in a better way. So it's not that I like problem, but we like to work together with our customers because we all learn for this. It's something new, so we have to learn to make the things that are good. Back to the point of the things that taste and textures are the reason sometimes not to go for plant-based. So people would like to consume them, but if they are not satisfied with the taste of the textures, we miss to answer the need. So it's very exciting to work and to improve. What we provide today is already, I believe, good. What you find on the market is from several players brings a real value for the consumers. But we will improve, and we continue to improve. So this is very exciting.
And it's just not going to stop. There's going to be more and more products available to the consumers. It is very exciting. And thank you both for joining us today, bringing your unique perspectives to the story behind our food.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.